Happy New Year, Keep It 100 Nation. 2017 is here, episode number 81. Today's episode of the Keep It 100 Girl Show is brought to you by Target. Start off 2017 with some great deals. Since most of the popular New Year's resolutions is getting fit, healthy, goal happy, and just being a better person than the previous year, Target is helping you achieve those goals with 50% off all athletic shoes, not just for you, but your whole family. And also 50% off all women's leggings, capris, and pants. Are you looking to refresh your home in the new year with a new you? Well, Target is offering savings. Save 25% off bed and bath. And when you spend $50, you save $10. When you spend $100, you save $25. For easy access, find the Target link to these sales located in the show notes. You can find them right on your mobile phone or your desktop just by pressing the button next to the episode title, Happy New Year, Keep It 100 Nation. It's going to pull up a bunch of drop-down options. Select the View Full Description drop-down. And you know what? Just scroll down and look for the Target shopping link. Or if you're old school, just head on over to ninababel.com/podcast and you're going to look for the Target shopping link located under episode number 81. Well. God didn't like ugly in 2016, did he? I think everyone will agree and say it was a major biatch. From the elections to celebrities dying left, right, and center to just worldwide terrorism. And, just these little one-off things that would happen and just kind of shock us into like, what? How many times did we say, pinch me? Is this real? Or is this really happening? Whether it was our own lives or someone else's. And then let's take it a step further. Everybody was asking in the last 24 to 48 hours, what has 2016 taught you, right? The biggest lessons. In this solo episode, I'm going to be jumping on that bandwagon too by recapping on my 2016. My struggles, my W's, my losses, and the 2017 come-ups. So according to Facebook, right, there was this app that caught my eye in the Facebook news feed that people started posting, what will 2017 bring you? And, it's this app that calculates what those 3 items are going to be. So I was like, let me try it. So to my surprise, and you guys heard it first, it's going to bring me a dream wedding, wealth, and muscles. And I thought to myself, wedding? Okay. Wealth? Well, I'm all for that. And then muscles? Like, I'm already muscular. I mean, I've been an athlete all my life. I don't want more muscles. But who's going to check you, Nina Boo? Nina's going to keep it 100 with some major laser raw and realness. Are you ready to keep it 100? My hand is raised. How about yours? So in 2016, I finally knew what it meant to be tested to the brim. Mentally, physically, emotionally, all at once, rolled up in a ball, and repeatedly. It was a constant juggling act. I mean, and this was a first for me. If it's happened before, it happens for a short period of time. And I'm talking like in my life, a week or less. This time, it was the whole fucking year. My cup runneth over and over. I've always had a non-stressful life, but I'll say this, just kind of reflecting backwards. It wasn't until my father died that I really lost my footing. Like, I've always been solid when it comes to my direction, my desires, but his death just humbled my ass to the point where there is some good that came out of it. So I'm going to share that with you. But then on the flip, there's one thing entrepreneurship has taught me over the years, and especially during these last 2 years, is resilience. You have to become that Teflon Don. We being entrepreneurs have more ups and downs in one friggin' day than most people have in a month or maybe even a year. But for the first time, I was not in control. There were a lot of known unknowns, just from paying the bills in some cases to robbing Peter to pay Paul. The next direction I was taking with my business was unknown. I was going through this whole panic and midlife crisis thing. You know, what really were my passions, and was it worth pursuing, and was I on the right track? And then this whole grief recovery, it's taken a while. It's taken 2 years for me to bounce back and regain some strength and sense of self. And then there's also scaling back. I decided to take time off to recover and to really dig deep to figure out what the next phase of my life was going to be and the lifestyle changes I had to make. And then there was my diet. I decided, hey, this whole meat thing isn't helping me out. So I made some additional changes there. Then work-life balance. As an entrepreneur, it just doesn't exist, especially when you're in that startup mode or you're in that multiple business mode. Burnout is just part of our lifestyle, unfortunately. It's just how you compensate or overcompensate or don't compensate at all. And I don't want that to catch up with me. And in 2017, I certainly don't want to lose sight of that either. And then, it's trying therapy for the first time and being single. Well, I'm not complaining about that because given other people's situations, I'm kind of glad to be single. And then it's just feeling alone or lonely. And again, when you lose a parent and there's major milestones during the year and they're not around to just be there, it's really, really hard. So I went through that during the holiday season. And you're probably thinking, well, don't you have a mother? Yeah, but it's just not the same. I think my father was both my mother and my father, to be honest. But that's enough. That is plenty. But happiness is not ready-made. It comes from your own actions. And before that, I realized happiness in my life resulted from tangible shapes and forms. What happens when that's all gone? You have to find other ways to obtain happiness. So I want you to pause and think about that for a second, because I'm going to prove it to you. Maybe not in a second, but give me another 15 to 20 minutes. So that being said, I discovered some hidden secrets about myself. Some were resurrected from the dead. Some were on autopilot. And you know what? There's a few that came out of nowhere. Boom. But one overarching big lesson was I was purposely ignoring the universe, God, whatever higher powers out there. Not because I was being outright defiant either. It's because I didn't comprehend the signs. I was doubtful of what I was seeing, hearing, or what was happening. But when it became a pattern, I was like, hold up. When things failed, I would self-reflect and wonder why, because this has never happened to me before. Like I said before, I've always had a non-stressful life. Things have gone according to plan. And maybe it was the time when someone said, it's time for you to struggle a little bit. Then I would have these premonitions and these dreams kind of reinforcing the message or revealing these cryptic signs, messages that were confusing me even more, but it all fell in alignment with each other. I've always been the type of person who always got what she wanted, right? Without a doubt. It was just kind of my coping mechanism to either prove people wrong that just became part of my normal DNA. And it's because I felt it, I envisioned it, and I wanted it. The difference now in this last year is those ingredients, like the feeling it, envisioning, and wanting it, they were all missing. I wasn't feeling it. I didn't know what I was feeling. Especially with my most recent clients, I had absolute no love lost with them and frankly walked away. And consulting has always provided for me, right? But it's always been one-dimensional. It has afforded me a good lifestyle, but it made me realize how materialistically minded that society is when they look at your bio, your profile, your experience, your resume, and they draw all these marvelous conclusions about you right away. You know, I've heard things like, I'm really impressed with your background, Miss Babel. And then, the other day, in fact, a woman left me this message saying, girl, you got the brains and the beauty. And I'm thinking to myself, that's not professional, especially coming from a woman. So surface level, let's just be clear. I do meet society's standards, and that's how I've been programmed to live my life, right? That whole straight and narrow, that whole brick and mortar, that whole parent's dream to do X, Y, and Z. But below the surface level, I was not meeting Nina's standards. And the universe was trying to poke me and tell me exactly that. It's time to change direction. Get in touch with your creative side. That creative side you put on hold because your father disapproved of the vocation that you wanted to choose. So I said to my dad, I think this was either before graduation or after. Two things, in fact. I wanted to be a makeup artist. Oh, God, no. You won't make any money. And then I was like, okay, well, let me take a year off. Absolutely not. And here's some other things that came up in high school. I had a high school teacher who told me, when you grow up, all the computers are going to be doing your job. And I really took that literally because I wanted to be an interior designer, in fact, an architect. But I figured I'd couple the two together. So I figured, you know what? There's going to be no place for interior designers by the time I grow up. So I need to switch gears here. So I always had that artsy side of me that lived but didn't breathe. Didn't have the chance to breathe and grow. And then I had this whole broadcasting side, this wannabe broadcaster self, but I always felt like I couldn't write. In fact, I could not write well. But it took a lot of practice. And you know what? 2016 told me that I'm coming back full circle. A full circle to my creative side. You're thinking about creating and launching a podcast in 2017, but you just don't know where to start. I'm here to tell you, you're in the right place because Nina was in your shoes almost a year ago. Podcasting was totally new to her. She didn't know anybody in the industry. She didn't have an audience. And more importantly, Nina didn't know where to begin. Her goal was to launch a podcast in 6 months or less. And she's here to lead and guide you through her blueprint called the Nina Method. This is a proven step-by-step way of launching a podcast from end to end, start to finish. Nina will teach you how to avoid the same hurdles that she had to overcome, and she's also going to level set expectations with a real reality check. So go ahead and visit www.podpreneurschool.com. That's PODPRENEUR school.com. And you can register for a free introductory online course. The official course starts on January 16th. So I'm going to repent my personal and business sins to you guys because this is really what brought it home for me. So on the personal side, look, I told you earlier that whole meat thing is real. I altered my diet to be, I would say 80% vegetarian, pescatarian, and 20% meat. You know, and I don't have that itis factor anymore. That whole wanting to sleep after you eat, it doesn't exist when you alter your diet like that. It's totally a different experience. And then I've totally changed my portion sizes. That has also made a world of difference. I was eating for two, and I didn't have to do that. But looking back at pictures, I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm my true weight now. 3 birds, y'all. You're probably wondering, what? I noticed this year more than ever that I listen to birds. It's kind of like either they wake me up or I listen for them because it's this calming effect thing that's going on. And then in the same way, it's when it's springtime, and I hate springtime because it's allergy season, but I kind of lived for that whole greenery effect coming to fruition. You know, it's walking through a park or a forest was very, very zen-ish for me. And, you know, I took the meditation thing a little more seriously. Starting at the end of 2015 into 2016, I realized how it really clears these internal pathways that were totally unknown to me. And I found my brain functioned way better. I mean, I'll just sum it up in a nutshell. It's like all those underbelly wirings in our body. It's like meditation just recharges it all. And then when it comes to people, whether it's friends, family, they come and go. You know, it's a cycle. Every year it's a cycle, in and out, in and out. But you know what? The best will stay. And then dealing with my father's death, like I said, my alarm clock was my tears, and I've never had this before. I've never been a crier, but I was always awakened by tears, right? I was awakened out of my sleep, people, with tears. That was something that I'm still trying to understand, but nevertheless, it's still something I'm dealing with. And then also, you know, it's really shameful, but I realize how much I lived my life in excess. I have closets and closets full of stuff. Unfortunately, stuff that I haven't worn. But it's not until when you're on a budget you realize how much. In fact, things are still in packages now that I'm looking at it in my closet. But when you're on a fixed budget, that's a big wake-up call. And then next, you gotta let karma, God, the universe take care of unfinished business or things that are just out of your control. Let it go. It's not your business to finish the deed, right? Whether you bear witness to the deed being finished or not, just let it go. It's out of your control. I think the way I started 2016 is the biggest epic fail was never to do business with friends. I know this is very textbook and 101, but it ruins and severs the relationship. And I kick myself because I already knew this. But this jerk, I already knew he was worthless when it comes to follow through. But you give your friends the benefit of the doubt. Look, I had a court date and everything. Restitution day was set and I was ready. But dude had a stroke. He's 40-something and had a stroke. So I had to let it go. Again, that whole karma, God, universe thing I talked about, it's in their hands. And I had to leave it alone. I think the newest thing was this political year. For the first time ever, sad to say, I guess, I took a really keen interest in the welfare of this country during the political season. I mean, I was watching double and triple header political shows back to back. Just how my grandmother, my great-grandmother loved their friggin' soap operas. I mean, I've always watched them on Sundays, but no, this turned into a morning, evening, daily, weekly, monthly phenomenon. And now that, this whole inauguration is weeks away and upon us, oh, gosh, what will that bring? From a business standpoint, I now understand, just from what I told you guys already, what my calling is now. In this cycle of my life, it feels right. It feels like, yes, I'm on the right path and not by society's standards either. But you know what? There's nothing like working under the duress of anxiety. There's no such thing as work-life balance, like I said before. But the difference is I love what I do opposed to fueling someone else's pocket and passions. I'm doing what I love and I'm creating it. I'm owning it. It's self-made. It's very clear I can't work for anybody. It's a full-time nobody. J-O-B. If I had to, I will. But I've enjoyed working for myself for too long. It's a lot of work. It has its ups and downs, but there's nothing like feeling your own passion. Sometimes I'll look up and I'll be like, where did the day go? But you know what? I didn't even notice because I like what I'm doing and I'm not watching the clock. I am a serial multitasker and I thrive off of that to maximize my time. And just because I work from home, people, doesn't mean that I'm free either. My calendar is like yours or longer. The difference is I don't have to leave my house unless I want to. So I learned a lot of actionable business advice from millennials. And, I decided to cross over and kind of extend the olive branch because trust me, I've had to manage them. And that was, as you know, another experience, but it was a plus. And there are pluses and minuses to any relationship. But you know what? I learned a lot. They might be on the sensitivity end of things when it comes to life, but I'm not into that care and feeding shit. It's they're very actionable oriented, and I like that. But I learned to walk away from business alliances that were not a good fit, or just showed their true colors. Never expect less than what you deserve. I've met a lot of cooler people this year. I'll say this though, and I'm grateful to have them as part of my business and personal circle of friends and associates. I've really learned to fine-tune that gut instinct to the point where I listen or act then listen. There's always people who don't have your best interests at heart. That's inevitable. You're going to meet them. They're going to meet you. They're lurking. They're waiting. Or you know what? They're sitting right next to you. But the foundation is set. All the time off that I took, all the soul searching, the right path. 2017 is all about execution. And you know what? And hiring people to help. I'm going to circle back for the last time. When you lose a loved one that you were especially close to, you can't see the forest from the trees. And I didn't see it. I hadn't seen it in these last 2 years. My father's death, I believe, that positive that came out of a negative, was my moral compass to determining my happiness. I'm more confident than I ever have been. And I've always been, I call myself this kind of silent cocky. So 2017 has already started for me. It probably started like a month ago with a new client. I have a few new ventures, a new online course, of course, my podcasting. I'm so looking forward to leveling that up. And of course, I promise not only you, but to myself, is to finish up these friggin' 2 books. I realize how much of an undertaking that is, and I certainly underestimated that. That's where my multitasking has its negatives, because I probably dip and dab too much at the same time. But again, that's something I'm going to deliver before second quarter 2017. I spent the last 2 years bootstrapping all by myself, but I own it. I self-made it. I did it. Get it, girl. Now it's time to preach it. And here's my secret. All you have to do is decide what to do with the time that's given to us, right? We don't know how much longer we have on this earth. So you gotta make every minute count. It might be 20 years, it might be 5 years, it might be 50 years. Or unfortunately, it might be 24 hours. So what you gonna do, boo? Are you ready to keep it 100? I'm gonna keep it real, people, and I'm gonna keep it true. Prepared to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, even if it's totally embarrassing or super cray-cray. We all expose our insecurities as we take our 27 journey through uncharted territory. My whole passion and purpose is to help you better understand and appreciate those embarrassing and vulnerable moments, keep it 100 Girl Nation, that we all go through on a regular basis. Keep it 100 means I keep it real and Nina keeps it true. I help men and women celebrate the naivety, the girl power, the shame, the embarrassment again, and even the wins and the losses. You will hear inspiring stories, dramatic situations from those women and men who are just unapologetically funny. They have real emotional moments that are surprising and fun. I talk to my listeners like I talk to my own girlfriends and guy friends about failures, successes, embarrassing stories, and more importantly, those aha moments. So this is what I want you to say. Oh my God, this is so me. I want you to laugh. I want you to tell your peeps about all these relatable experiences. Don't forget to connect with me on social. You can reach me using the handle @NinaBabel, Twitter, Instagram, Keep It 100 Girl Facebook page, and also Snapchat. And you spell my last name just like this, Babe with an L. It's like, babe as in hey baby, hey babe, little babe, and just add an L. All right, that's my reel for this week. See you on Friday when we are going to drop a new episode, the 2017 version of Keep It 100 Moments. Smooches!